Up and gone. So,
good evening, everybody. Welcome to Road Atlanta and Virtual Race Academy GTE Cup. As some of you know that have been following us over the last couple of weeks, we've been venturing into the world of iRacing and into these fabulous GTE spec cars, and just doing some occasional races. So nothing serious, not a full championship, just a few invitational events. And this week, you join us from the fantastic Road Atlanta in Georgia. And what a circuit. I think the guys out there are really relishing it. So, Jack, are you with me?
I am at last, finally. Hi, Brad. Good to have you back as well.
Welcome to you.
Road Atlanta, brand new track for me, particularly. But, Brad, what can you tell us about this circuit? What are the challenges involved in this?
Well, it's a very fast, sweeping circuit. There's probably two key areas that they're going to particularly affect the drivers, especially at the start of the race on full tanks, and that's coming through the downhill complex just after the start-finish straight. They take the fast right-handed turn one, which is third or fourth gear, and pretty quick, certainly on low fuel loads, and then they very quickly rise over the hill into a blind right-hand chicane. And then from there downhill into this fast sweeping S's, and that's very, very tricky to get right. So I know a lot of the drivers, talking to them in the week, were struggling with that on full fuel loads. So that's going to be an area for some good entertainment, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a very up and down circuit. Now, we should mention we're very excited to have Graham Carroll racing with us tonight, Red Bull Esports driver. He's having a go with us today, and he's currently topping the session. Why am I surprised? I'm not surprised at all, to be honest. Great to see Graham Carroll up there, and of course Charlie Eastwood with us as well. So we're nearly finished in qualifying at the moment. Just about 2.5 minutes left at the moment. Currently, Graham Carroll from Peter Dempsey and Niall Quinn. Keith Dempsey down in fourth at the moment, then Mickey Meredith. And
unusual to see Keith in fourth. I'm sure, like last week, he'll pull something out the bag and put himself up on the front row if he can. But yeah, fabulous to have some of these names with us tonight, and it just goes to show not only the strength of esports racing, but also the strength of Virtual Race Academy and the kind of crowds and drivers that we're able to attract and bring into it. So big welcome to those guys, and we look forward to seeing what they've got against our seasoned regulars.
Yeah, of course. Now, do apologize. Do ignore the bottom left and the bottom right. That is incorrect. What we're seeing right there, it is not Niall Quinn we're looking at. That is Charlie Eastwood in the BMW right there. And ignore the relatives and whatever, something's broken there. But your positions are correct on the left-hand side. Graham Carroll from Peter Dempsey and Keith Dempsey now up to third position. Now, of course, we had Peter Dempsey on pole position, and Brad, we had a pretty nasty incident last week, didn't we?
Yeah, it was disappointing. Obviously, for us as race fans, and also for the drivers themselves, nobody wants to put in all that work in the week to practice, get the setup right, only to have a two-corner race. And unfortunately, a few of those drivers experienced that last week at Spa. And having reviewed all the technical information and spoken to all the drivers, obviously the stewards wanted to speak to the drivers involved. It looks like it was some technical issues caused by a couple of cars dropping out on the stream, unfortunately, and that resulted in pretty hefty pile-up along the Kemmel Straight. But thankfully, most of the drivers got going again, and we saw some great fightbacks as a result. So, with any luck, we won't see that today, but we'll see some great racing all the same.
Yeah, of course. So not long left in qualifying at the moment, but it is currently still Graham Carroll from the two Demseys and Niall Quinn. Then we have further down the grid, we have Brian McManus in there too, just having a look on board with Charlie Eastwood then as he heads downhill here. As I was saying earlier, it's very up and down this circuit. It's almost built in a valley, but again, Brad, it almost seems like the track designers knew what series they wanted when they built this track.
For sure, it's absolutely perfect for these GTE cars, and we'll see some good close racing with also plenty of opportunity to pass. Some of the circuits that we go to are a little bit harder to pass than others. This one should create some great opportunities with really long straights breaking into the heavy chicane down on the far side of the track. One thing to keep note of today will be track temperatures, because that's going to affect the tyres and therefore the speed of the guys as well. So that's going to be an interesting one. But I
Yeah.
have to say, I'm super impressed here. Graham, it's his first race with us. He's 6 tenths in the lead right now with on a 1:14.4. Peter Dempsey on a 1:15.1. Keith Dempsey also on a 1:15.1. So the Dempsey brothers, line astern there in second and third, and Niall Quinn on a 1:15.2. So close at the top, but Graham Carroll showing them a clean pair of heels right now.
Of course, stamping his authority. So Graham, a very welcome addition. He's already making himself known to all the guys here. Niall Quinn just coming across the line there. Hasn't been able to improve his lap there. But it is going to be Graham Carroll from Peter Dempsey and Keith Dempsey in third position with Niall Quinn behind. Nicky Meredith is fifth. Brian Yamamoto is sixth. Charlie Eastwood is seventh. Colin Bayes is eighth. Brian McManus and then Kelly in 10th as well. Now, of course, we are always going to have a rolling start here as per. Now, unlike Spa, we can do the full lap here because it's a very short lap around here. But not too sure who to tip. What do you think, Brad? Who are you going to tip for the victory today?
I think Peter Dempsey will be looking for some redemption. So I'm expecting him to show strongly. And again, the likes of Quinn, the other Dempsey brother, Nicky Meredith showing great form right now. So expect him to be in the mix. Again, David Yamamoto, very quick sim racer. But yeah, I think looking at those times, Mr. Carroll's going to be hard beat today.
Yeah, of course. So, but they'll certainly put up a fight for him, and it'd be nice to see how the VRA regulars go up against a Red Bull Esports driver here. So it is going to be a really interesting set of events, and of course, we're going to be watching out for battles down the field as well. Of course, between the Porsches especially, they always seem to have a good fight between each other. But it is BMW, Ferrari. So BMW dominance around this circuit. Is that what we expected, Brad?
Well, I think that clearly the BMWs are enjoying their power advantage along the long straights, but as we know, the Ferrari is a little bit more nimble, particularly on full tanks. So I wouldn't count them out. I fancy a Ferrari for this race.
And what do we think about tyre wear here? Is it going to be about managing the tyres?
It's all going to be about temperature here.
All about temperature. So
the drivers are queuing up, coming to grid. As you can see, the pace car there sat on the grid, waiting to lead them out on their parade lap, and they're off now.
Porsche safety car leading the field then with the two BMWs following behind. So on your screen right now, left of shot is Graham Carroll in the very distinctive Red Bull livery there on the BMW. Behind him is Peter Dempsey. Keith Dempsey is third. Niall Quinn is fourth. Nicky Meredith is fifth. Brian Yamamoto is sixth. And Charlie Eastwood in P7. Colin Bayes in P8. Brian McManus in P9. And further down the order, you can see everybody down there. And I think we're going to see, like last week, just judging off the outside the top 10, I think it's going to be a really hard fight between all those guys, both between Dowling, Moore, and Hayden. And they had some serious fights last week.
Well, I was just going to say to you, Jack, I mean, look at the strength of that midfield right there. Charlie Eastwood, GT3 driver, Colin Bayes, Brian McManus, seeing him in the top three, Jordan Kelly, again showing strongly with Adam Dowling, Marty Moore, Ronan Hederman, and Victor and Pat. All of those guys are top level racers, all capable of being in the top 5, top 10 on a given day. So it just shows you the strength of the field.
Yep, that's what we like to see in VRA. So let's see who's going to come out on top here today. So the safety car is about to peel in. You see Graham is raring to go. He was almost ready to pass the safety car there, but he controls the pace up to the line here. So the pace car will peel in short. We still have another sector to go. We're just on the back straight currently, and we'll be underway.
Looking at this field, I'm I'm a little bit pleased to be in here in the commentary box.
You and me both. I wouldn't like to be eaten. I'd be eaten alive out there, if I'm totally honest. There's no way that I would be competitive in the slightest out there. But always better to have a front row seat for all of the action, which is what we enjoy.
That's a great shot there, seeing the cars line astern coming down behind the safety car. They come down the hill towards the chicane.
Yeah, we're about to enter the last sector. We're about to come around turn 12.
So the nerves are
12
jangling, the
turns.
drivers are getting ready. The safety car's pulling into the pits.
And we are going to be away. My camera is currently stuck on the safety car. You have to forgive that, but Graham Carroll is away. Peter Dempsey, Niall Quinn, then Keith Dempsey, Brian Yamamoto, Nicky Meredith has lost the position. And he's almost getting swallowed up by Charlie Eastwood, trying to get himself involved in the back there. But it is Graham Carroll who manages to get the start that he wanted. Peter Dempsey up behind him, Niall Quinn, Keith Dempsey, Brian Yamamoto. Looked like a clean start. Did you see anything untowards, Brad?
Not that I could see. Everybody's through turn one and coming up the hill now towards the S's.
Oh, Niall Quinn is having a little think about going on Peter Dempsey there. And following him is, of course, Keith Dempsey. There's contact
Dempsey
in
goes
the back.
wide.
Peter Dempsey and Niall Quinn have hit each other. No, I think Niall tried to move there. And unfortunately, there's a little bit of contact there. But again, Peter Dempsey, lap one, gets shot down to the back. Unfortunate for him. But it now brings David Yamamoto into P3.
That's a superb start from David, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, behind him is Charlie Eastwood, who's also made a great
start.
Great start there.
And Bayes in fifth.
Of course, yeah, Colin Bay is doing really well there in P5. Niall Quinn has dropped the P6. He's got Brian McManus all over him now. The run towards turn one. He's going to have a look on the inside into turn number one. And Niall is just about going to hold on to that one. Not sure if he picked up any damage. I'm sure he picked up some sort of damage, but it doesn't look to be affecting him at this point.
Well, I think there's inevitably going to be some aero damage on that car now. He's looking a little bit tentative on the straight.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure what happened to Nicky Meredith, because he's dropped to the back as well. So it looks like he's been involved in an incident somewhere. It's a bit unfortunate for him, but it's now Graham Carroll from Keith Dempsey and David Yamamoto, and Charlie Eastwood is now P4 with Colin Bayes behind him, but he has got Niall Quinn now trying to get himself through the field. A little bit of red mist descending now. He wants to make sure he gets through and join the fight up front once again. But he is going to have to make the move on Colin Bayes on track.
Well, the question is here, Jack, is Niall going to compromise his car and his tyres? Pushing to get out of this position now. It's not where he wanted to be.
No, he's made a mistake again. He's locked up on the brakes. He's trying too hard by the looks of things. The red mist is certainly descending. He's starting to make mistakes.
Yeah,
Those tyres are going to be fried.
Yeah, he two wheels on the grass on the left-hand side of the circuit. That was just enough to unsettle the car and lose his braking point. He will be furious with himself right now.
Yeah, he will be furious. He'll be ruining that decision to try and make a move there. Unfortunate incident between the two of them has dropped Peter Dempsey to the back for the second week in a row. 2 lap 1 incidents in 2 weeks. But out front, Graham Carroll is enjoying clear track. Brilliant start, and he's controlling it.
Yeah, so at the end of lap 2 there, he was the fastest man on circuit, purple all the way. And as you say, clean air in front of him, he's settling in now. So he's in a great position and already pulling a solid gap.
Yeah, Keith Dempsey trying to just match his pace as well. There's an equal gap between Carroll, Dempsey and Yamamoto. Charlie Eastwood now kind of heading a train of Colin Bayes and Brian McManus. But it is then going to be down. We're going to see Adam Dowling in P7. He's made some good tracks as well. And then Moore and Niall Quinn has dropped to P9 now, with Ronan Haderman and Gibson having a little fight down here. And a big old scrap happening behind between Peter Dempsey, Pat Masterson and Nicky Meredith. This is pretty much for the last position right here. And they're having...
Just take a minute to listen to the names that you've just mentioned there, fighting for last place.
Yeah,
that's quite a big one.
But it's now Peter Dempsey versus Nicky Meredith into turn 1. And it looks like Meredith's going to get that one done. So
good clean move, made it stick.
Yep, easily done.
And we've got someone off track there in the S's.
Let's have a look. I think it's Ronan Hardiman. And by the looks of it, it's a Ferrari, but definitely.
Can't see that. Yeah, I think that was.
Oh, big one for Gibson in the S's as well.
And he's
So,
gone. He's in the wall.
Yeah, huge off. Haderman went off before him, and then I think for completely unrelated reasons, Gibson lost it
Oh, he
further
took
up.
a heavy hit into the wall there. Just got out of shape on the first part of the S's, over the curbs. Back end of the car went light, and he couldn't save it. And unfortunately, that took him head on into the wall on the left-hand side there. So there's going to be some heavy damage to that Ferrari now. So expect to see him into the pits very shortly.
Just having a look as well. Niall Quinn and Moore having a battle down here as well. Marty Moore. Quinn just made up the position on him right there, but you can see just on the lap times, you can see Graham Carroll is just absolutely flying out the front. He's nearly a second quicker than everybody else. And what has happened to Colin Bays? He seems to have dropped off the timing screens.
No, he's still there as far as I can see at the minute. Oh no. No, it's now showing him as out. He's dropping away.
And he's back. Okay, never mind. He's just popped back on the screen for me. Whatever happened there, that was a little strange, but anyways. He's
so
back.
Maybe the lap didn't quite register, but he's still showing now it's in 5th place.
Yeah, and hounding the back of Charlie Eastwood in the BMW. So let's see if we can try anything. He's on the back straight, just through turn 9 up towards turn 10. Prime overtaking position right here because it's down at the end of a long old straight. He's having a little look to the outside. This will be brave stuff from him as he looks to the outside line. Charlie Eastwood on the inside, later on the brake, should be able to hold on to that position.
Who's going to be the bravest?
Yeah, it's always going to be who's going to be the bravest. Charlie Eastwood, so late on the brakes, holds onto the car, and holds Colin Bays back for another while longer.
And actually, that's just compromised his exit there, coming across the start and finish straight, and he's under attack himself.
Yeah, he is indeed. It's a holding station for now. Brian McMahon was kind of lurking in the background as well. Niall Quinn in the middle of nowhere, unfortunately, now. And then Adam Dowling and Marty Moore together in P8 and 9. And Peter Dempsey up to P10. He's charging through. So fair play. No fault of his own, the incident. And he's doing his best to get himself back into the fight.
Well, this is almost becoming a trend for Peter, isn't it? And I'm sure a trend that he doesn't really want to stick. For 2 races in a row, he's having to fight back hard from the back.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for him. Of course, the incident not quite as severe as last week. He managed to just spin the car around, get it going again. I'm just having a look. Are we having the same issue with Marty Moore? No, we're not. Marty Moore is off the road, and he's definitely out of this race. Just retired at the bottom of the hill there towards turn 9. Not quite sure what happened there, but he is out of this race.
Yeah, just see him pulling over onto the grass there and retiring. Real shame there for Marty. Again, another driver that's showing great form at the moment and really finding his pace.
Yeah, so just apologies for the broken graphic on the screen right there. Just ignore it. It is a little bit. They were having some technical issues once again today. No fault of anybody's. But trying to get these things up and running is one of the hardest things in the world to do. Graham Carroll out in the front, out in the lead. Keith Dempsey in P2, and Dave Yamamoto in P3 with Charlie Eastwood behind him in P4. Colin Bass still behind him in P5, just holding station. And then we have Brian McManus, Niall Quinn, Adam Dowling, and then we have Peter Dempsey now up to P9. I should say, by the way, I am completely alone, I've just realised, in here in the Virtual Race Academy. Niall has left me, so I hope he doesn't notice if some of his sim gear goes missing. Anyways, out front, Graham Carroll still lapping in the low 15s, which is pretty impressive, considering we're almost 10 minutes into the stint.
Yeah, he's just settled into a groove now. Doesn't want to push the car, doesn't want to push the tyres, and he knows he's got a great gap behind him. I mean, he's still doing that last lap was still half a second quicker than Dempsey, and a full 1.4 seconds quicker than Yamamoto. So despite the fact he's dropped off a couple of tenths, he's still well ahead of the rest of the field.
He's in total control. It's good to have him here, of course, representing Rebel Esports. Of course, you might, if you've watched the pro draft from last year, you might know Graham from it. He did compete in it and did quite well for himself. But we're very happy to have him here at Virtual Race Academy. I just noticed about Peter Dempsey has made up another position on Adam Dowling, so I wouldn't count Dempsey out of a podium just yet. Is that a little bit optimistic?
Well, I think at this stage it's possibly a bit of a stretch, but listen, it's a long race. We're only sort of 15 minutes into it, so still 30 minutes to go, and 10 minutes into it, and I think obviously there's anything can happen yet, but I think a podium is possibly a little bit of an ask, given the strength of field today, and there'll be a few drivers out there maybe scratching their heads thinking, where are the likes of Heath and David finding this pace from?
Yeah. Now Peter Dempsey has got Niall Quinn up ahead of him. So if those two come into a battle, that might get a little bit interesting, let's say. But currently, Niall Quinn is got the pace over him. He's chasing after Brian McManus, who's up ahead of him, only catching him by maybe a couple of tenths each lap. But he should catch him in the next couple of laps, and we'll see how he gets on.
Well, I don't think any of us expected to be seeing Quinn and Dempsey battling for 7th and 8th, but sure enough, that's where they are.
Yeah, no, just seen Gibson come into the pit lane, probably for damage that he was carrying from that incident.
Oh, he took a big hit, didn't he?
Yeah, massive. Now, I've just noticed I missed the move, but Colin Bays has managed to get past Charlie Eastwood for 4th place. So didn't quite see what happened there, but Charlie Eastwood now behind him. But again, they're very evenly matched on pace, so this battle will probably continue.
Yeah, fantastic battle between two quality drivers, isn't it?
Yeah, you can just see Charlie had a pretty poor lap that time. So let's see if he can maybe think about getting back past Colin Bays here, because he's certainly keeping right with him here through the S section as we then drop down the hill again for even more S's. They seem to be pretty obsessed with S's around here. Big move for Colin Bays, and Charlie Eastwood comes straight through. They're well held by Colin Bays, but again, that's a really common place to lose the car, because the car is pretty unsettled over that hill, isn't it, Brad?
Well, as I said to you, tyre temperature starting to play a factor now. A little bit of tyre wear coming into it with the increased temperature. The back end of the car goes light. If you're just a touch too greedy on the throttle, it is going to bite you, and you just saw that there.
Yep, did very well to hold on to it, and he didn't really lose too much time. He's still glued to the back of that BMW. So again, this battle's not over, but as they battle, that's going to allow Brian McManus and, of course, Niall Quinn to get themselves involved in this later on, which should be a little bit now. You can just see up front, very marginal, but Keith Dempsey a little bit quicker than Graham Carroll that time, but still Carroll holding consistent times up there, which is, of course, is so key to leading a race.
Yeah, this is a masterclass from Graham currently. Sounds like we've got a phone going off in the studio.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I don't know where that's coming from, so I'm going to have to wait for it to ring out. I'm not sure what that is.
Sorry about that.
You'll have to bear with us on that one. Somebody's very desperate. Wow. That's a new one for me. I've never had a phone ring in my ear in a commentary box before. Again, apologies about this. I really don't know where that's coming from.
Right, I think we have it sorted now. But we've possibly lost Jack in the process.
No, we're still here. Managed to solve it. I managed to get back for Bays getting back past Eastwood around the outside. So nicely done from him there.
Oh, and we've got a Ferrari in the wall at turn 1. Who was that?
That may be. Let's have a quick look. It might be Gibson again.
No, it
No,
was
it's not.
no, it was a white Ferrari. Who was that?
Could have been. I'm not quite sure who that was. Roland Hayden, maybe. That's the only white Ferrari I can see. Seems to have dropped back a lot. But yeah, nice move from Colin Bays there on Charlie Eastwood around the outside. Pretty brave. So fair play to him for that, for making a move, especially on Charlie Eastwood.
Yeah, fantastic showing from Bays. He's not intimidated by Eastwood one little bit.
Yep, but this battle still continues to rage on. They're very evenly matched, these two. So Eastwood will think about another goal later on, potentially. BMW's got the grunt on a straight line over the Ferrari. So we'll see how they get on. You can see Bram McMahon is lapping quicker in the back, so he might glue onto this very shortly. And of course, the quickest out of a lot of them at the moment is Peter Dempsey, who's a ways back at the moment, but he may get himself involved at a later stage. Now, I may be able to have worked out who that Ferrari was, and I believe it actually was Niall Quinn. And Dowling spun it just as I said that. Adam Dowling spins at turn 1. And for some reason, Niall Quinn has dropped all the way to nearly to P10 at that stage. I didn't see what happened.
Yeah, so he's sat now behind Nicky Meredith.
Yeah, so interesting, because Peter Dempsey's up to P7. And just caught the end of Adam Dowling dropping it at turn 1. So now we're definitely seeing tyre wear starting to come into effect.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see a few mistakes creeping in, possibly down to the track temperature or the tyre wear.
Yep. But at the moment, Graham Carroll is in complete control. 1:15.5 on that lap, and Dempsey's pretty much matching him 1:15.6. But there's nearly 10 seconds between them at this rate. So he is in complete control, just needs to keep running his lines. And he should have this pretty easily. But this battle between Colin Bays and Charlie Eastwood still rages on. And I think we're just seeing Peter Dempsey into the pit lane for, I would assume, as a scheduled stop.
I think that would be a little bit early, to be honest. 16 minutes into the race. That leaves a long second stint, unless he's planning to stop again. But I can only assume that's for some damage.
Yeah, I would have to assume that too. But we'll see how he gets on. He might come into play later on in the race in the midfield with that early stop. But I don't think we're going to see the main guys in for at least another 6-7 minutes. So it's going to be still Graham Carroll in the lead out here from Keith Dempsey. David Yamamoto still doing really well in P3. However, I think he is getting caught by the battle behind at this rate. But at the moment, he's doing an excellent job to hold himself in P3. And we all know what a great job he pulled off last week too.
Well, Bays is now, what is he? 3 and a bit seconds behind Yamamoto.
Yep, roughly. And just that lap there, they virtually match each other to the 1,000. So at the moment he's not catching, but he can see him in the distance. So he was trying to close up to that, but again he also has to watch his mirrors. And Charlie Eastwood is still right there. Just seeing Nicky Meredith there in P7. He's managed to get himself up to 7th after all the craziness. Niall Quinn's now behind him. And Adam Dowling now dropped to P10.
Nicky Meredith's had quite a quiet race so far. We haven't seen too much of him, but he's keeping his powder dry and climbing his way neatly back up through the field after that disastrous lap 1.
Yeah,
and
so
could be on for a good finish.
Yeah, he did a good job last week too. He did make a mistake, which allowed another person through to take a better position than he did, obviously. But he just dropped it in the dying laps. He was on for, I think, 4th place, and then ended up getting 5th. But he's still, again, he's driving a really good race in P7 there. And if anything else happens ahead of him, which judging off this race may happen, we might see him a little bit further up the field. He's lapping quicker than pretty much everybody in front of him. So we might see him come into play later on. And I'm not quite sure what has happened to Peter Dempsey, but he's still in the pit lane. I'm assuming it's damage.
Yeah, I think he's in for repairs. It must be from some of the contacts that he's had throughout the first part of this event.
Yeah, Miles Quinn just into the pit lane behind him. And a rather awkward pit entry there, just about in his box. Pushing the limit there.
It's an easy one to get wrong. That you're coming off camber downhill, and it's quite a tight right-hand turn into the pits. And yeah, it's very easy just to overshoot that, touch a little bit of the grass, and then you're in all sorts of trouble.
Yep, he is on his way out. Quick stop from him. So he's back on his way. Pat Masterson also into the pit lane. So now we're starting to see people come in. Graham Carroll way out in front, Keith Dempsey behind him. And then we have Dave Yamamoto, Colin Bays. And you can just see Colin Bays just took a second out of David Yamamoto that time. So Bays has found some pace, maybe managing his tyres a lot better than everybody else around him.
So interesting on that last lap there, Dempsey actually matched Carroll on a 15.5. So that gap starting to even out a little bit now as the tyres wear. So maybe, as we said, Carroll just dropping off, keeping everything in check, keeping it clean, no mistakes, and maybe giving a glimmer of hope to Keith Dempsey.
Yep, let's see if we can get himself maybe a little bit closer in the stops. We'll see. But Colin Bays now starting to put the hammer down on Davey Yamamoto, just a little bit up the road from him. Charlie Eastwood kind of falling back a little bit now. Brian McManus is there in P6. Nicky Meredith is P7 with a huge gap back. And Noel Quinn has come out in P11. Just giving an eye. Peter Dempsey still in the pit lane, so they can pretty much call him out of this race, unfortunately. And whatever you just said about Dempsey matching Carroll, well, Carroll's just gone 7/10 of a second quicker.
Wow, so that's how you respond. He saw the attack and said, yep, you come at me, son. I've got it plenty in reserve.
Yep, so by the looks of things, Carroll was we'll see the others, but he looks like just to be the only guy still consistently lapping in the low to mid 15s, which is really impressive. We're halfway through this race and he's still lapping in the 15s.
Yeah, it's quite an incredible pace.
So
but you can see he's super comfortable in the car. The attitude of the car looks great, looks super smooth, and that's showing in the lap times.
Yeah, fantastic job in that one. He's led every single lap of this race so far, and by the looks of things, that's not going to change anytime soon, unless something drastic happens, which we don't want to curse. But he is not pitting as of yet. We'll see who out of the top guys is going to be the first to head into the pit lane. So we'll see how Dempsey did on this lap. 1:15.4 for Graham Carroll. How does Dempsey get on? 1:15.5. So pretty much identical. So maybe just had a poor lap that last time. But yeah, the gap's kind of evening out now.
Yeah, it's just eased out slightly to 8.4 now.
Yeah, so. But they have absolutely no trouble from the guys behind. They were lapping in the 1:16s. And you can just see Charlie Eastwood a little bit quicker than Colin Bays that time. And Brian McManus looks like he's kind of struggling now in P6 as Nicky Meredith is taking chunks of time out of him. Still about 5-6 seconds between them. But he will get caught if he doesn't pick up the pace. Just noticed, I don't think we have any Porsches today.
No, Evan Walsh, who's been campaigning the Porsche in the last couple of events, sadly couldn't make it today. And I think everybody else opted for the M8 and the Ferrari.
Yeah. Well, at least I guess we have the Porsche represented in the safety car, which we haven't seen since the start of the race, thankfully.
And hopefully we won't see any more of.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we all want. Unless it provides more action. Might spice things up a little bit and get everybody back together. And in comes Colin Bays,
Well,
as I
I
say
think
that.
there's probably 14 other drivers that would want that.
Yeah,
And I
Graham
can think of
Carroll
one that
certainly
might
wouldn't
not.
want to see any other cars near him. But again, Graham Carroll responding on that lap, still lapping in the 15s. Dempsey was 7 tenths of a second slower than
So
him.
Bays is into the pit lane.
He is indeed. So he is the first out of the top 6 to make the dive.
So we'll just keep an eye out on this stop now.
Yep,
Shouldn't be expecting to take any fuel.
just tires.
I would
Out
think
he comes.
probably.
As I say that, spot on, Brad. Well done. So out he comes in plenty of clean air. So that'll help him.
So a good job by his team there, picking a spot to get him out into clean air. Nice tactical move, and hopefully he can get his head down now on fresh tyres. And let's have a look at his lap times
Oh,
now.
big moment in turn 1. Sorry. Well held, whoever that was. I think it was Roland Haderman in the Ferrari. Came into turn 1, turning left into a right-hander. That's not what you want to do, but he somehow
Look at
manages to
that!
keep it.
Wow,
Um,
that was possibly a bit of shift lock, maybe.
yeah.
Be forgiven for
Well,
thinking Formula Drift
yeah.
with that move.
Coincidentally, Formula Drift is
Absolutely,
actually held here, so I think
it
he's
is
mixed up his
indeed.
events. But you can just see Graham Carroll has just lapped Roland Haderman. That just shows you how far in front these guys are. Now we're just seeing Charlie Eastwood is in as well. Now he'll be responding to Colin Bays, so we'll keep an eye on Charlie Eastwood in the pit lane at the moment.
Yeah, he's got to watch for that undercut from Bays.
There's Bays on the outside, and I think Bays is going to have him, and he will have him, yeah, easily.
The undercut has worked out beautifully for Bays.
Yeah, so potentially Eastwood might be taking some fuel as well. By how long that's taken, because Nicky Meredith has managed to jump him.
Yeah, this is a poor stop from Eastwood.
Yeah, Noel Quinn's out in front of him too, and just seeing as well, Graham Carroll, our race leader, has finally made the pit stop that he needs to make, and Keith Dempsey's going to follow him in. So, yeah, Dave Yamamoto is in as well, so everybody's coming in now. So the first of the stoppers will be Colin Bays. So Charlie Eastwood has lost out massively in that pit stop phase, and now we will see if Brian McManus takes any fuel, because Colin Bays might jump him.
I think Bays could move himself up into a net P4 here.
We'll keep an eye on Brian McManus is making his way into the pit lane.
So he had 29
There's Colin Bays. He's going to have him easy.
Yeah.
And there is David Yamamoto, actually. Colin Bays has closed up hugely on him.
So Bays has played a blinder here. Has he got through for the end of the race? Because as we established, he didn't take fuel on in his pit. It was just a tyre stop and back out. So has he played this tactically perfect?
Well, at the moment, judging off what the information we have, he is playing a blinder, because he's now fighting for a podium all of a sudden through the brilliant pit stops. Adam Dowling's made his way up to P5 as well. Just keeping an eye down further as well. Nicky Meredith and Niall Quinn, P8. Charlie Eastwood's, after all of that, has dropped to P9, so it was a really poor stop from him. Dropped him all the way down.
So that's cost him 4 places through that period.
Yep. But the person who hasn't cost any time is Graham Carroll, out in the lead. I think Keith Dempsey managed to fall further behind in the stops.
He lost about half a second, so gap's currently sitting around 10 seconds.
So he didn't lose as much as I thought he did, but he's still in the lead by about 8-9 seconds. So he's still in complete control of this. But Colin Bays now trying to catch David Yamamoto, but actually just made a mistake right in front of me there. Knocked one of the cones over. So at the moment he's still P4. And Nicky Meredith is off the road at the top of the hill, doing a bit of grass cutting there. Niall Quinn comes through, takes it off him.
Yeah, you don't need to ask Niall Quinn twice. He'll take that.
Nope,
Both
of course
hands.
not.
Yeah,
Adam
Nicky
Dowling.
way off the track there. Almost needed a sat nav to find his way back.
Yeah, it's almost as if he didn't update his sat nav and it didn't put new roads in, so he's just telling it exactly where he wants to go. Graham Carroll now back in the groove, 1:15.8 that lap, and just a couple of pit stops being made as well. There's Ronan Haderman just coming out side by side. Oh, that was close. Kelly just managed to close the door on him there. Fine margins.
Fantastic stuff.
So,
yeah, it gets a little bit cosy coming up there, and you've got to get across to the right-hand side of the circuit.
That's exactly what he did.
And he did a great job, well executed.
Oh, massive accident at the bottom of the hill. I don't know who that. I think that was Charlie Eastwood in the wall. I'll have to have a look. No, it wasn't, but it was one of the BMWs had a massive off there.
Huge.
Was it Keith Dempsey?
That was
Keith Dempsey? Keith Dempsey has crashed at the bottom of the hill. I can't quite see him on my radar. But that's the only.
It looked like Keith's livery. He's still showing up on the timing screens currently. But I
wonder, was it? Oh, it could have been Peter Dempsey actually. He was still kind of. No, he was in the pit lane. So not quite sure who that was. But whoever it was had just had a huge accident at the bottom of the hill.
Massive tank slapper came around the first part of the S's. The back end went light. Tried to correct it. It regripped and spat him straight into the wall. That one's going to hurt him more.
Yeah.
So Keith is still showing on the timing screen. So it wasn't Keith.
It wasn't Keith. No. I was probably then.
It must have been Peter Dempsey because it looked like a Dempsey livery to me.
Yep. So obviously he managed to come out of the pit lane. That's the only person who can see who could have possibly been him.
So he was in the pits getting repaired, and he must have come out and unfortunately totaled the car on his first lap out.
Yeah. So Peter Dempsey out of this race, unfortunately.
Tough day at the office for Dempsey.
Yeah, second week in a row getting caught up in lap 1 incidents. This one was certainly not his fault. But you can just see, Keith Dempsey trying to make his way through the traffic here. You can see there's a big old scrap going on there as Pat Masterson and Kelly go at it for P11.
Good luck of the brakes.
Yeah, you can just see the Ferrari trying to make his way past the BMW here. Should have it done. He's on the inside, but Pat Masterson will have the inside line for this next corner. But that Ferrari's gone to Narnia. That's completely the wrong part of the circuit there. Comes out in front and should let him straight put through, and that's fair enough. So very easy to do that at the bottom of the hill when you're carrying so much speed down the hill.
Yeah, but he redresses the place, and that should avoid him a penalty.
Yeah, he definitely tried to brake late, but I think it was a little bit audacious trying to brake that late.
Well, there's braking late, and then there's not braking at all, and I think that was a little bit of a latter, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think there's a very fine margin between the two. But out front it is still Graham Carroll, who I think now is coming up to lap 9th place, which is Adam Dowling up ahead. He's got a little ways to go yet, and there's only just about 13 minutes left in this race.
2/3 of this race gone, and half the field lapped already. This is an absolute masterclass from Carroll.
Yeah, he's really shown what he's made of in his first showing in the VRA. And,
but look, we should also remember that a lot of these drivers racing with Virtual Race Academy are either new to the sport, and they're all racing as amateurs. And I think again, we shouldn't be too quick to judge when we're putting pro esport drivers up against them. These guys are doing a fantastic job as amateurs in the sport to be in the same postcode as drivers of Carroll's caliber.
Yeah, that's a very valid point indeed. We can't judge ordinary people going up against esports pros. We already pretty much know the outcome, but still Keith Dempsey doing well to just keep himself kind of consistent. behind them, which is very key, of course, if anything were to happen up ahead. Now, I think there's a little bit of a battle brewing between Brian McManus and Niall Quinn, who has just managed to catch up to the back of that BMW. He's trying to charge to the field after that lap one debacle between himself and Peter Dempsey.
Well, post the pit stops phases, Niall Quinn's really found some pace, got his head down with a bit of clear air, and he's really caught right up to the back of Brian now.
Yeah,
So expect to see a good fight here coming.
Yeah, should be good. Of course, Niall Quinn won the last two events in a row, but things have not gone his way today. So he's not going to be happy with how things have gone today. He'll be kicking himself with it, but all he can do is try and get him as many positions as he can with the remaining time left. Just 10 minutes to go now in this VRA GTE series from a road at Lanza.
But just look at the power of that BMW down the back straight. Nothing Niall could do about that there.
Yeah, that BMW is a very, very fast piece of kit in a straight line. It has nearly 100 horsepower more than the Ferrari behind it. But you'll see the Ferrari will absolutely mince it through the corners, as you're seeing right there.
Yeah, huge gain as we come into this technical part of the circuit. Completely different line there as well from Niall.
Yeah, interesting seeing the differing lines through these S sections. And we're now at the back of the circuit here, 6 and 7, before we head down the back straight. Now we'll see if Niall Quinn can get the exit he needs. And he is definitely closer than he was last lap. He was lapping much quicker than that BMW. But there's not much he can do with the straight lines, but he's got to just try and get close on the brakes here. So
we're down to under a second as a gap. You don't need to timings to see that.
Here he comes. He's going to have a think about it anyway.
He's having
nice
a look.
car placing from Brian McManus. Now, down the hill they come through turn 12. Again, the power of the BMW is just keeping him ahead, but it looks like a little bit of a better exit for Niall Quinn that time. Not quite a long enough run towards turn 1 to have any chance, and by the looks of things, he will have to follow through the S section. You can just see the differing lines, as now Niall Quinn has a think about a go, shows himself on the outside. That definitely put Brian off a little bit. So down the hill they come again through the S section. No way to make a move through here. And back down towards the back of the circuit. And Brian definitely not a better exit there and should hold on to that for a couple more corners, not too much longer.
Yeah, we wouldn't be expecting to see anyone trying to make a move down into the S's. That would only end one way.
Oh, he's having a go here. Got to think about going up the inside there, but he's going to have to go back into slipstream. Almost touching the back of that BMW down the back straight towards turn 10 we go. Brian McManus versus Niall Quinn. On the inside will go Brian McManus. And that will change. That will still be the inside for this next corner because it's the outside line for Niall Quinn. He's going to have to outbrake that BMW around the outside. He outbrakes him. Nicely done and slick move from Niall Quinn.
Great stuff. Put Brian under super pressure. Brian defended very well, but ultimately Niall just had the edge on him on the turn in there.
Now, of course, that BMW grunt will allow him to just close up a little bit in turn 1 here. We'll now see if he can make a move again. I don't think he's going to be able to. Now, I've just noticed as well, Nicky Meredith is out of this race, which is unfortunate. He was having a good run.
Yeah, we've lost Nicky. We didn't unfortunately see what happened. We were busy watching the Quinn-McManus battle.
Now, we should point out as well there is a time 17 limit for off-track excursions. So if you acquire 17 off-track points, we'll call them, you're automatically disqualified. So that could have been the issue, Brad.
Yes, good shout. It could well have been. We may not have seen that. And just for people at home, if you're not familiar with iRacing, so the drivers are allowed a certain amount of infringements, and that may be track limits, collisions with another vehicle, collisions with cones on the track, and so on. And as Jack said, they get a maximum amount that they're allowed. If they go over that, then unfortunately they're automatically excluded from the race. And this track in particular, just coming over the back of the S's, over the top of the hill there, very easy just to get on the gas a little bit too early, let the car come out wide to the right, and just drift over that curb. And unfortunately, if you go over it, you get a track marker. And so a lot of drivers will probably be quite high up on their penalty allocations right now. So Nicky may not be the only one that we see, unfortunately, disqualified from this race.
Yeah, the margins are just so fine in iRacing. You've got to keep it between the barriers. So just over 5 minutes left to run. Graham Carroll still in complete and under control. He's at every lap so far. And Keith Dempsey still doing an excellent job in P2. We'll just see how his lap times are faring against Graham Carroll. Very good, actually, lapping within a tenth of Graham Carroll up front, so he can be very happy with that, to be lapping as close to that. David Yamamoto still P3, been holding that position for the entirety of this race too. 1:17.1 for him. How's Colin Bayes getting on behind him? He's lapping through the traffic of, I believe that's Pat Masterson there.
Yeah, Yamamoto has done a great job of taking the sting out of Bayes' attack. And at this stage, it looks unlikely he's going to have enough in him. They're lapping about the same pace, 1:17 watts. It's unlikely that we're going to see Colin mount any more charge in the remaining 5 minutes of this race.
Yeah. So I think the on-track battles have died down a little bit now. So I think all we can do is wait for Graham Carroll to cross the line and take the spoils in Virtual Race Academy. But again, Brad, it is really awesome to see these pro esports drivers have a go in Virtual Race Academy. We're very happy to have them, of course.
Yeah, it's an absolute privilege to have them racing with us, and really does show what a great job all the team at VRA, Niall and Rob, are doing in growing this little championship. And yeah, fantastic to have the likes of Graham and Charlie and the rest of the guys with us today.
Yeah, so hopefully we will see more of these guys in the future. But it also shows the level that you've got to be at to try and beat Graham Carroll, because he's currently about 11 or 12 seconds ahead of Keith Dempsey, who we know is an extremely fast driver. We saw the battles he's had with Niall Quinn before. Niall Quinn as well, got a call up in the instance earlier. Those guys are rapid, but Graham Carroll is just on another level here.
Yeah, as I said earlier, this is an absolute masterclass. He's super smooth, looks slow, but is incredibly fast, hitting every apex. I haven't seen him go off track once all day. Picked his braking points perfectly. Car looks planted. The lap times are incredible.
1:15.5. I don't think he's lapped outside the 15s once today. I've never seen a 1:16. So he's been absolutely spot on this entire race. Keith Dempsey, there he is in the other BMW. Let's just see as he crosses the line. Oh, he's had a bad lap that time. 1:19.1. What's happened on that lap?
He lost almost 3.5 seconds on that lap alone.
Interesting. Didn't quite see what happened there. Probably a little lock-up or something happened there. But you can just see Colin Bayes just took about a second out of David Yamamoto. So is there enough time left for Colin Bayes?
Maybe. There's 2 seconds between them.
This could get tasty. Colin Bayes and David Yamamoto for the final podium place. Niall Quinn is unfortunately out of that fight after all of that. Now, how is Charlie Eastwood getting on? He is closing up to Bronze Madness. So is there enough time for Charlie Eastwood to get in a position?
So Eastwood was 7/10 quicker with Manus on that last lap.
Yeah,
so still all to play for. There's maybe a couple of laps of this race left. So if they're going to do something, they need to do it now.
And there's the first 1:16 I've seen from Graham Carroll. 1:16.004. Still very quick, of course, but I think that's the first 1:16 I've seen from him. Yeah, I don't think he needs to push at all anymore. There's about maybe 3 laps of this race left.
No, absolutely. Bring the car home safe. Keep it pointing in the right direction.
That's the key. Now, how is Yamamoto and Bayes? I think Yamamoto responded a little bit there, but Brian McManus and Charlie Eastwood, that battle is certainly not over. We'll have a look at the lap times here. 1:69 for Brian McManus and a 16:5 for Eastwood. So a little gain, but he's not quite catching enough.
No, I think it's a day late and a dollar short, to be honest.
Yeah, so we're just about 30 odd seconds left of this race. I think it's +1 lap, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, Graham's just coming across the line now.
Yeah, so
we may get 2 more laps out of this yet, because I didn't see a white flag that time.
Yeah, probably 45 +1 lap.
I think we are now 2 to go.
Yeah, and I think, Keith Dempsey's in the pit lane. Why is he in the pit lane? Has he got a drive-through, I wonder?
Well, here's a shocker. We thought the race was done and dusted, and everything was looking to settle down, but your second place driver, Keith Dempsey, is cruising into the pit lane. Is he cruising to retirement?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Is he out of fuel?
I wonder if he's out of fuel. Yeah, it's a good spot, Brad. He could be out of fuel. That's a disaster for Keith Dempsey.
Oh, so bad luck's plaguing both Dempsey brothers today. Yamamoto, here's a story. Into P2.
Brian McManus and Charlie Eastwood, sorry to cut across here. That battle is raging on now into turn 1. Brian McManus just managed to hold it around the outside there, but we were saying Charlie Eastwood wasn't doing enough, and he certainly is, because he's right on the back of him now. But David Yamamoto, P2, and Colin Bays in P3, and we're just about to see, we'll just go to him really quickly. Graham Carroll, dominant performance, wins in VRA at Road Atlanta. No more than he deserved. But we'll keep an eye on David Yamamoto as well. I don't think he can quite believe what's just happened. He's in P2 right now. Colin Bays, P3. Niall Quinn's recovered to P4. But let's keep an eye on Brian McManus and Charlie Eastwood. This is going to go to the line, I think. Here they go towards turn 10. Brian McManus holding on for now. Charlie's going to have to try a move. He's going to have to try here. Down the inside comes Charlie Eastwood down the inside. Is he going to be able to get it stopped? Yes, he does. Charlie Eastwood makes the move for P5 in the dying moment of this race. Just coming towards the last corner now.
Brian will be so bitterly disappointed. 2 corners from the end to lose that place that he's worked so hard to keep. But Eastwood was on fire for those last 2 laps. Where did that come from?
He just absolutely opened the taps. It's a fantastic job from Charlie Eastwood to grab that position at the dying moment. But Graham Carroll taking the win. David Yamamoto in P2. He's going to be over the moon with that result. And Colin Bays manages to grab a podium after all that. And fair play to Niall Quinn as well, who managed to come back to P4.
Well, absolute heartbreak for the Dempseys again today. We'll try and have a word with Keith and see what happened.
Yeah, interesting stuff there. I would imagine it was probably a fuel issue.
What was looking like a relatively quiet race towards the end there certainly got spicy on the last couple of laps.
Yeah, that's always what we like to see in VRA. But Graham Carroll stamping his authority, winning by nearly 13-14 seconds. Actually, more at that rate.
Well, it was 30 seconds back to Yamamoto in the end.
Sheer dominance from Graham Carroll. But it was, of course, brilliant to see him racing here in VRA. David Yamamoto P2. Colin Bay is going to be really happy with the podium. Niall Quinn P4 is going to be happy with that. Charlie Eastwood going to be happy with P5. Brian McManus, he'll be really disappointed he didn't manage to hold on to that. And whatever happened to Keith Dempsey, we don't know. We think it's probably a fuel issue, but he will be non-classified. Jordan Kelly P9 there, Adam Dallin P8, and Pat Masterson just managed to sneak into the points there in P10. So that is it for VRA at Road Atlanta. Quite enjoyed that one, plenty of action that one.
Yeah, great track, always produces the goods. strung out towards the mid section of the race, with some outstanding performances up front, some great midfield battles all the way down through the pack, and a few shockers at the end just to mix it up.
Yeah. So I am still all on my own here in the studio, but I think I am going to have to round out the stream. So, Brad, it's been a pleasure once again
Jack, as
to
always,
be
thank you.
alongside you. Always great to have somebody knowledgeable in with me. So we'll thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you all next week.
Join us again.